Hello viewer. Okay, so this is going to be the next video on my 3D printed parts to CNC machine little project. So what I'm doing today, so I've done the one axis and today I'll be mounting the other axis. So instead of a normal 3D printer where you'll have x-axis here and your y-axis there with your print head, is I'm actually going to mount it on the platform here. So I have the x-axis and the y-axis at the bottom, and then I'll have some supports coming up like this, which will have the z-axis for the actual milling end or whatever I'm going to be using up there. So I've 3D printed some parts. So this is a pretty what do you call it, a rough print, a draft type print, but it actually ended up being pretty good. And if everything works, I will go through again and print this out in a higher or finer detail, but it actually ended up being a lot stronger and better than I thought at the print level that I printed. So basically these will mount up like this, which will support the rails, which will support the new bearings on there. So I'll go ahead and start mounting those. Now there's no particular reason why this is blue and the others are grey. Basically it's what I had in the printer at the time. So okay, what I'll do is I'll start with these ones because what it's easier. So I did make a little mistake when I first started this with these. I actually just went and printed 4, and I was like, yeah, sweet, that'll work. But then I realized that due to my approach in designing and printing is they weren't exactly even between them. So what I had to do was I flipped the print in the software and then reprinted another 2, so that when they were running at an offset it would balance out quite nicely. So the rod goes there. Right, let's turn this one around. Let's screw it into place. So I'm not tightening them all up at this stage. Once they're all mounted and in position, I can do that. And when I come and do the final prints on them, I'll probably do something like recessing the heads a little bit, because doesn't leave a lot of room underneath to actually mount the nuts, which is a bit of a problem. So now these are the bearing holders for the horizontal bearings. So these go into position like so, and then I'll mount. Let's just make sure after talking about the let's not get this the wrong way around. There we go. So basically what I've got is I've got a thin side, thick side, and the thin side goes to the inside. Well, I hope I've got that right, otherwise I will hit a problem very shortly, which would be embarrassing, apart from the fact that not many people are going to see this anyway. So, okay, where am I going? There we go. So again, I printed these in a just in a draft print. That's just to save a bit of time and material if it doesn't work out, and if it works out, it just means, you know, I've got the design there. I can just bring up the quality by reducing the layer of every print, and there we go. And that's quite easy to do in the software, and then I can just reprint them in a better quality result, and also make any fine adjustments if I need to. I mean, that's the cool thing with the 3D printing. It's really good for the sort of prototyping, especially the prototyping on the go, which is what I quite like doing. You know, just sort of having a design in my head and then building it up, rather than, you know, I'm sure, you know, other people would carefully design this all out, and oops, that's not doing anything. Carefully design this all out either on paper or on the computer and made sure everything was all working. But I like doing it this way. Fine. Takes up a little bit less time compared to other methods. Right. So theoretically, if I have mounted everything in the right place, these screws will line up. If I've got things the wrong way around, they won't. Now, just to save the threads, what I do is I actually go backwards until I feel it lock in. Let's try that again. Yep, go backwards until I feel it lock in, and then go forward. And what that means is that I'm actually screwing into the same thread as the original. Which just means I'm not tearing in a new thread and weakening all the plastic. So same thing with the yellow one here. No particular reason, though it's actually turned out quite handy for alignment. To go, okay, we put the yellow with the blue, mark it up, so it's actually proved quite useful to have the different colouring. Okay. So the idea when I started this was to have a top bed area of 120 by 120. So this gives me the movement this way, this gives me the movement that way. So if I sort of have a center point there, which is just a rough guess, it gives me that width and that direction there. So it is actually slightly bigger than what I was targeting originally, but that's not a problem. Like I say, it's not built to a fine design. Now this Perspex platform here is sort of a temporary layout. I do have a thicker sheet of Perspex that I plan to use. and I'll use that in a double layer, with the first layer going down onto these mounts with a hole drilled in the middle for the slider here. So the slider across the bottom will be the one used to control the y-axis. So that motor is going to mount in there with this thread here. So that's going to be the next thing that I'll be doing. I'll be mounting in that. Now I do it now, but I actually broke the part, so that was a little bit stupid, so I'm actually going to have to make a new one. Gee, I wonder what I'll use to do that. I might use a 3D printer. Be quite a useful idea. So that'll mount in there. So that gives me my XY axis. So basically for now, that's the movement that I've got. So far so good. So next step is going to be to mount this motor, this rod, actually hook up the screws to the decks, mount in the board, do a little bit of wiring, and then actually hook it up to some electricity, and just see how it looks so far. Okay, well, thank you, Cyril, madam, for watching. I hope you've enjoyed.